We're not separate from nature.
There are, unfortunately, a lot of other people that channel some device or loop of guaranteed woo and inflict their half-baked belief systems on people that actually need help.
There's lots of myths about tarot, what tarot is and tarot isn't. And a lot of the history of tarot is basically a tale told by Madman and Conman.
You seem to be saying that somehow the ability to divine with tarot has had health benefits.
Yes.
How does that work? Welcome to Glastonbury. I'm here in Glastonbury in Somerset for a reason. I'm on a bit of a mission. I'm fed up of coming across people, often with serious psychiatric or medical conditions, who stop taking their evidence-based, imperfect but at least understood medications in favour of misunderstood, useless and even harmful remedies from elsewhere.
Well, for me, I was taught as a child at 5, I'm 52 now, and my grandmother is still alive, thankfully. Her my great-grandmother, who lived to 111.
Wow. So you seem to be saying that somehow the ability to divine with tarot has had health benefits.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, it's guidance and affirmation and confirmation.
Right, but if you have a cancer
Yeah, I can see that.
and that's confirmed,
Yeah, but people say to me, why do you use the cards when you can see all? And I see all.
I'm sick and tired of reading adverts in theatres, hotels and social clubs advertising psychic mediums, faith healers and other woo practitioners who promise, without even a hint of embarrassment, to be able to talk to dead people, to talk to angels, to clean your soul, to rebirth you, even to steam your womb. All for a small fee, of course.
And they create endless damage and just cash it in and walk away, smiling gently as they go to the bank.
My original plan was just to rant on my YouTube channel about it all, but that seemed unfair. So I've come to the southwest of England, to Woo Central as one of my respondents described it, to see if any of the practitioners here can convince me that what they do really is useful. I first arrived in Glastonbury fairly late in the day. It was about 6:30 in the evening, and apart from the pubs, all I could find still open for business was a very nice fish and chip shop. Wherever I go, there's always time for fish and chips. But not one for wasting the light. I decided to walk around Glasgow and get some library shots, video clips to use the next day, and check out which businesses to approach in the morning. I found 2 temples to the goddess. I'm not even sure if it's the same goddess. It might be. One of them invited me to return when I have more time and film my own experiences there, which I thought was extremely sensible, obliging, and kind. I plan to do just that sometime this summer. The other one was closed, but I did get to photograph this rather lovely mural, which I think is Avalon-based, but I'm not sure. I found a couple of shaman, or at least I found their premises. I approached them the next day, but the man I spoke with, Kestrel, hadn't time to be interviewed. I genuinely think he would have had, if he hadn't been pre-booked. That's something I should comment on, even though I was very upfront that I'm sceptical to the point of being actually hostile to the very idea of alternative medicines, either because they haven't been tested or because they have been tested and shown not to work. Most people were still friendly and had a great deal to say about their beliefs and in defence of the treatments that they offered, although only 4 agreed to be interviewed on camera. It was fascinating to see what many Glastonbury people thought of as adequate evidence. For many, it was simply to make a claim.
So the reason that I relate to his work is because I like the idea that we are part of something that is actually a living being. Yeah. I mean, she does have a unified consciousness, actually. You know, we tap into it all the time, which is this lovely feeling of, oh, this feels lovely.
You can make that claim. What I'm saying is Lovelock hasn't demonstrated it,
He
and I don't
hasn't.
think anybody else has either. Which doesn't mean it's not true.
No, but
But
I'm
it
making
doesn't-
that claim.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my understanding of it. So from James Lovelock's work,
Right.
I then went to this.
I should be clear that this lady who I met at the temple to the goddess absolutely disagreed with the idea of telling anyone to discontinue their medication. And for all my concerns about unsubstantiated claims, she was able to give me an explanation to back up her belief.
So one thing led to another. You know, science and spirituality combined is what we call probably quantum physics.
It's like, I suppose it's like Hebrews 11:1, isn't it? You know, faith is the evidence of things not seen, which you can actually argue is wishful thinking, and the opposite of evidence.
Have you ever been to a place where you think, it looks nice, but somehow I don't feel good here?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah?
Yeah.
Or another place where it could be just a meadow and you just have the most amazing feeling.
Oh, that's West Kent at Longbarrow for me.
Yes. That is because you are in that time, in that place, tuning in to these amazing earth energies. Science is like the masculine energy. Yeah, it's very grounded, it's very academic.
Okay.
The feminine side of nature is mystery and the magical realms, almost, if you like. You combine them two, and you come up with the Vesica Pisces, which is an ancient symbol.
Yeah.
It's so distant we don't know its origin, but it is concerned with Christianity. So, for making it simple, earthly realm, so science, spirituality, unearthly realms, or that which we can't see.
Right.
So subconscious, consciousness. You overlap those two energies and you come up with the little bit in the middle.
Right.
Symbol. Now in Christianity, this is shown as a fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what it represents is those two overlapping energies, and it becomes an alchemy more than the sum of its parts. Yeah. It's basic nature. You get two overlapping energies, and it's going to create something. Anything that's mixed together is going to create something else. So with spirituality, the way it's going now, it seems to have gone full circle back to how the Sumerians recorded their understanding of nature, the Egyptians, the Babylonians. These people that lived in the far distant past had a different understanding of nature to what we do today. Ours is a bit disjointed. It's either science or spirituality. Yeah, it's either
Right.
you can't put them both together because there's a line
Yeah.
set by your good self.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is
There's
the
a line.
What is the line?
Well, I would say the better way to. Oh, okay.
Yeah, this
Let
is
me give you another attempt at my view of where the line is. I class myself as a skeptic in the true sense of the word, which is I will believe anything if you can give me evidence. But until there is evidence, I won't necessarily say it's not so. I will say I have no reason to believe it.
Of course.
And that's sort of where I am with what you've just said. It seems to me it's a presuppositional argument. It hangs together, but you began with the ending. And you said that yourself, that you thought, oh, this. And then you looked again at things and it all fell into place. But that's a presuppositionalist argument. I think you started by believing something without good reason, which to me is the wrong way around. So maybe it's about syntax.
It could be, but how about accepting rather than believing? Think, right, okay, how about if we look at this in another way? The problem with the paradigm that we live in is we will not accept that there is more to nature and science to what we know already, which is why it's always constantly evolving.
Whilst I may disagree with her conclusions, it's impossible to deny that this lady does have a coherent model and she's very capable of explaining it.
For others, such as the first lady I met on the street, stating the obvious was evidence enough.
Well, it's guidance and affirmation and confirmation.
Right, but if you have a cancer,
Yeah, I can see that.
and that's confirmed,
Yeah, but people say to me, why do you use the cards when you can see all? And I see all.
so what do you see at the moment? You looked at me and said, you can see that.
You
Do
need
I
to
have a
lose
cancer?
weight.
Oh, I know that.
And you need to stop eating too much meat because meat takes 24 hours and at least a week to digest properly in the system.
Okay, now I didn't know that about digesting meat, but any fool could have said that I need to lose weight. There's nothing particularly
Even the
esoteric
seaweed.
about that.
As a head rich, eat the seaweeds.
I'm interested in how tarot helps with health, though.
Right. When you see... Are you alright?
Yeah, cool.
I love you, Rowan. Excuse me, sorry.
No, you're
I
fine.
love my babies. I've been here 35 years. But what was the question? Well, it's affirmation and guidance.
Guidance from where?
Guidance from where you've been. Because I believe the past is gone, the future's uncertain, but we're always in the fucking now.
See, I would agree, but I don't need cards to tell me that. That's just obvious.
And someone said to me, why do you use the cards? And I said, because it makes it look better.
Right, so it's purely
It's a bit of
cosmetic.
fun.
It's cosmetic then.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. I mean, that's
No, not that it is cosmetic. I know what I'm bloody doing,
right.
but for their pleasure, it is
Right.
cosmetic.
Okay.
And who are they? And your red says lose weight.
Oh, well, I think my size says lose weight.
Lose weight. Puts pressure on your heart.
Yeah, I get that. But again, you don't need to have a gift of sight to know that I'm too fat. You look at me, I'm too fat.
No, I'm looking at your eyes.
Okay.
I see the red. I see auras.
All right.
Do you not get that?
No, I don't.
I have the sight.
Well, I get that you believe you see things other people don't.
Oh, I do.
My issue is, how do I know that's true? How can you demonstrate it to me?
I'll do you a reading.
Okay, go on. That would be brilliant.
Fucking right.
After quite a long, drawn-out card pack choosing ceremony, Julie decided that I was diabetic, which I'm not, and that I'd recently been devastated by a woman, which is also not true. The final reading said that I am recently hurt, in my power, and if I would only stop eating meat, I would achieve great things. So I'm very interested. I met a lady last night who told me she could use tarot for healing, and I didn't really understand that.
Right, you can actually use tarot for anything you like. If Jung was very interested in it because it's archetypes.
Yeah.
There's a very famous book, Jung and Tarot and the Archetypes. Yeah, if you see it as being archetypal, then you can tap into those archetypal forces. You can use an image from the tarot for meditation, for pathwork or guided meditation, or whatever you like. So yeah, you can use it.
I mean, this lady decided.
By magic as well, but it's nearly all there.
Yeah, I mean, this lady decided I was diabetic and had cancer, and that the cards could heal me. Does that seem plausible to you?
That may be her viewpoint.
Well, it was her viewpoint, and I have no doubt she was sincere. But as far as I know, I don't have either of those conditions.
No, really, exactly. I mean, medical that's the thing I always say to people. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. You shouldn't be making medical diagnosis or giving legal opinion. You always seek a professional. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Clearly, not all of Glastonbury's spiritual fraternity are opposed to modern medicine, although I met some who very definitely are.
I always say, tarot reading is counselling without the get to know you bit.
It would speed my job up no end.
Exactly. So that's what it is, and people have a very, very funny idea that I don't want to know my future. Why? It's not set. It's not fixed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So really, you're describing a set of conditions that you can make predictions about based upon the probability of these conditions are. Therefore, this is probably going to happen, but you could do that. I guess the only problem I have with what you're saying, because as I said, I'm quite sceptical about this. Once we get the information from the cards, what you're saying makes perfect sense to me from a psychological perspective. Yeah. This is the issue, what you're going to do about it. My question is, how on earth do the cards know the situation?
That is extremely good question. They don't. I do.
I'm sure it
because instead of having one person that's actually got the training, got everything else, has, for God's sake, has passed the exams, you've got 100 of them haven't, and you've maybe got one that has, and the one that has is really quiet and doesn't shout, and all the others are shouting, and it gets really difficult to find out which ones work. I would count on the fingers of one foot the number of alternative medicine practitioners who actually know what they're talking about in Glastonbury. I had a classic, this was an absolute beaut. It's a dear friend of mine actually, and I hurt my foot. I'd done my ankle in, and she came around and she said, she said, "You've hurt your foot?" And I said, "Yeah, I've hurt my foot." It's quite obvious. She said, "I'll give you Reiki." As soon as I hear that word, become a Reiki master in a weekend.
Well, it seems to be the thing now.
I'll give you Reiki for it. And she grabbed my foot and she went all wooey over my foot and generally sort of gave me Reiki on my poor foot that was injured. I didn't have the heart to tell her she picked on the wrong foot. I mean, she had a 50% chance, but she blew it. And she sort of said, "Oh yes," she said, it's functioning nicely on the rig. And I thought, but she's a good friend, so I just, some people you've just got to sort of leave it and think, yeah, all right. Oh, God.
Yeah.
And there's just so much of that. And you can become, they run a course in Glastonbury, I think it's £15,000 to become a shaman. And you go round to places like Siberia and all sorts of places, and this particular person has got a list of contacts, and you go and spend a weekend with a shaman in Siberia, and then you have an ayahuasca experience in South America, and you have all these bits and pieces, and when you've done all this stuff, you're now a shaman, so you can now practice shamanism. And everyone that you're going to is presenting this as a cash cow.
Yeah. Here we go.
All right.
So everyone smile and be happy.
Shut up.
There's a sense of mystery in Glastonbury, of genuine awe that's infectious. But alongside it, I couldn't help feeling that many of the people I spoke with, especially many of those who wouldn't agree to be filmed, are only too aware of the scam they're engaged in. I won't say all the healers are deliberate con artists. I met several who seemed sincere, although their logic when trying to explain their work seemed confused. But I don't doubt their sincerity. It's unfortunate that I couldn't stay longer in Glastonbury. Several people invited me to return and film them at more convenient times, but I had to be elsewhere. I will take up the offer to visit the Goddess Temple, though, and film my experiences. Who knows? Maybe I'll end up being converted. But don't hold your breath.